Um, so the purpose today is to not only go over kind of your results, but I also want to know kind of in context of what you're working on,
Yeah.
just in general with your health and what you're trying to do right now. So that would be my first question is what ultimately is your goal with your health or fitness, all of those things combined? Are you working on anything right now?
Yeah. So, dude, it's always been a challenge for me. I've always been a bigger dude. I'm sitting at
Okay.
about 250 right now,
Okay.
down from about 262 a couple months ago, probably about, yeah, 3 or 4 months ago. So
Nice.
I've been consciously trying to lose weight. I've researched the crap out of it, constant,
Yeah.
meal prep. I feel like I eat pretty good. I generally will track. I've, done the calorie tracking.
Sure.
Um,
Nice.
it Whenever I'm doing standardized meal prep, I won't really track everything because it just kind of
Sure.
gets monotonous. Like I eat the same thing every day, and that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
For fitness, I am bad about working out on my own.
Okay.
So I joined a CrossFit gym when we moved to Enid, and I've been off and on with that.
Sure.
I enjoy it. Honestly, I think everybody talks crap on CrossFit, like, oh, you're going to injure yourself and stuff like that. But I feel like I've made my core a lot stronger, which has kind of helped with some of my
Great.
back issues that I've had whenever I've worked out and stuff.
Okay.
Um, so I've been really conscious, like I'm not going to try and keep up with, the crazy CrossFitters. I'm going to
Sure.
be realistic with my own injuries and stuff like that, so I don't re-injure myself. Um, but yeah, so ultimately, kind of current goal to answer your question: lose weight
Okay.
and get back in good fighting weight. I guess would be my immediate goal right now, and then long term, just sustainable, healthy
Yeah.
diet and exercise.
Can I ask what weight you're targeting? And it doesn't have to be set in stone. I'm
Yeah,
just kind of curious how tall are you again?
I'm 6 foot, and I'd like to
Okay.
be around 210 or so.
Great.
Um,
Okay. I'm six
yeah,
foot two. So,
nice.
okay. So about 40 pounds, give or take.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And does your back hurt at all still, or is
Not
it
anymore. I've had like a little bulge probably about almost 5 or 6 years ago now,
yeah.
and so I'll sometimes I'll go a little too hard on deadlifts or something, and I'll be like, ooh, I need to watch that. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
I haven't gotten the crazy sciatica again, but there was like a couple months where I just like was dead to the world, laying on my
No, I've been there
belly.
too. I have
Sucks.
I had the same problem for years. Um, that's something I also want to talk about is hit something we also my assistant coach, she has a background in physical therapy.
Mhm.
So we have a pretty good, like, I think seeing a physical therapist in person is they're gonna have the greatest diagnostic exercises because they can feel and move you around. But if you kind of
Mhm.
have it under control, there's definitely more we can do to like really make sure it never comes back. Because
Cool.
I myself and I think every client who's come to me with kind of your level of progress with the back, we've been able to kind of just get rid of it for good.
Oh, sweet.
Even when you do deadlifts, even when you do this, and more importantly, if it does flare up, you know exactly what to do to calm it down within 24 hours.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Weight loss in particular. Now, that gives me a lot of input here. So,
Cool.
so what I was saying was, is what I see is not atypical. It's quite common. How old are you again?
36 now.
Cool. I'm 35.
Cool.
I had a similar kind of biometric health when I first did it.
Hmm.
And what I was going to say is these are all issues that are all interrelated. All of these systems are not independent of each other. What's unique about what we're doing is we're tying them all together and we're seeing how they affect each other. And the good news is if you can imagine, it's like kind of looking at a stream.
Hmm.
A dead carcass in this, upstream, it's going to pollute the water throughout the system.
Right.
What primary care providers do, or even other holistic providers do, is they'll just treat the symptoms throughout the stream, but they won't get rid of that carcass.
Hmm.
So specifically, for example, like with your gut, we're really inflamed down here. There's a lot of flags down here.
Hmm.
Someone might say, oh, do a stool test. Oh, hey, you got this bacteria growth. Let's fix that. Well, it might temporarily fix it or just blunt it a little bit, but it's still going to be getting fed bad stuff from the problem upstream. And so the way we attack this is we start upstream first and work our way down in correcting these dysfunctions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So upstream, I'm just going to brief you from the top all the way to the bottom, okay?
Cool.
So upstream, we have our glucose regulation, which, as according to the way you scored, it's green. But generally speaking, single digit, high single digit green and or double digit green is kind of an indication that you might be one or two questions away from that being yellow. So
Gotcha.
specifically with glucose regulation, and if I look over to small intestine and pancreas, see how this is red?
So, sorry, real quick. I think I lost your screen whenever you dropped off. I don't know if you need if
Oh,
that's
I'm
your side or
sorry. Yeah,
mine. Thanks, Scott.
duh. That makes more sense. I'm talking
Cool.
to myself over here. Yeah.
No,
So
you're good.
you're single digit, high single digit, you may be one or two questions away from this turning yellow, right?
Yeah.
But remember with glucose, you know what organ helps process that?
All the rest of the downstream
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Our pancreas
Mm,
secretes insulin, right? To
okay. Yeah.
process glucose to make it not toxic, to turn it into glycogen, to usable energy, right?
Hmm.
And so what this is indicating is to me that this is, suspect number one is
Yeah.
there's something going on here when you process glucose. It doesn't mean that you're diabetic, but
Hmm.
it does mean it's not quite optimal.
Yeah.
So whether you're diabetic or just have a little bit or medium dysfunction in this, what happens is your pancreas is running hot,
Hmm.
shooting out insulin. It's a gradient, right?
Yeah.
This system is only processing, I'm just throwing a number out, 70% of the glucose correctly. You have that
Hmm.
30%. Do you know what your body does with that 30% it can't process?
Probably turns into fat.
Yeah, it does. It's a survival mechanism. It's
Yeah.
saying, hey, this is the number one generator right here. I want
Mhm.
all my power coming from here, but for whatever reason I can't, so I have to shift it and offload it to
Mm,
another standby source, which for us metabolically is fat storage, right?
yeah.
I can't get all of the energy in glycogen, which is what I prefer, the jet fuel. I'm gonna throw it and turn it into diesel and coal and store it for
Mm,
later, and I'll get that energy kind of in a backdoor way.
mm,
Um, that is what immediately happens because raw glucose is toxic, right? It has to
right.
be processed. So we got visceral fat from that, but also too, because it's toxic and it's hanging out and it takes a while to convert it to fat, it's highly inflammatory.
Mm,
And any inflammatory agent in the bloodstream, if you can imagine, affects every system in our body, right?
yeah.
And that's a big reason why, glucose is the suspect number one, because further downstream, we got the liver and gallbladder. The liver is primarily your filter, right? Filters the
Hmm.
blood, filters all the toxins out of your body. So that's super important. If it's inflamed, it's not going to work as well, which leads to more toxins, which leads to what? Probably more inflammation, right? And so
Yeah.
it becomes this like snowball effect of
Hmm.
inflammation and discomfort and stuff, and it just completely throws off the whole system.
Interesting.
So that would be the liver. The gallbladder is primarily used to secrete bile. Bile, do you know what bile does?
Honestly, no, I don't.
Okay, so what bile does is it helps kind of think of it like a dishwasher soap with
Hmm.
grease.
Hmm.
It's basically processing fat. It's what
Oh,
your
okay.
small intestine needs
Hmm.
to actually process and absorb fat and nutrients. Think even fat soluble vitamins, right? It needs
Yeah.
to
Right.
be absorbed. And what happens is if there's broad inflammation and the gallbladder's not working, it works hand in hand with the liver and
Hmm.
processing fats and metabolites. And so there's some dysfunction with processing fats, right?
Hmm.
Now we're struggling to process glucose, we're struggling to process fats. Those are two of the three main sources of energy that your body relies on
Hmm.
to operate every day. Do you know what the
Yeah.
third one is? Is the backup?
I should. Trying to think way back to my science. I don't know.
That's
Just give it
okay.
to me.
Um, it's gonna be muscle.
Oh, gotcha. Yep,
It's
that makes
gonna
sense.
it's gonna catabolize muscle next.
Huh.
And that's not good, right?
Mm-mm.
Muscle's expensive. That's,
Right.
literally, eating itself to make up that deficit.
Hmm.
So that's important in weight loss, right? That's important in strength building and recovery,
Yeah.
especially intense exercises like you're doing. And so there's that. Further down the stream, we have our endocrine system, which is primarily responsible for hormones.
Hmm.
Hormones, if you could think about it, they're like they're commands.
Yeah.
They're the FMS. It's kind of the your brain sends out actual commands throughout the system for the cell to operate. Your thyroid, once again, double digit green, not ideal.
Hmm.
But the thyroid, is producing on your testosterone
Mm.
and sex hormones.
Hmm.
And those commands are super important metabolically. And I'm sure you're familiar with all the ways that could affect fat loss,
Yeah.
muscle growth,
Yeah.
all those things. But adrenal is on fire right now. And that's
Hmm.
very common. That's something I have. That's almost every pilot I talk to. Because of our changing sleep schedules, because of, the work-life balance that we have, especially coming from the Air Force,
Hmm.
adrenals are responsible for cortisol.
Hmm.
Now, cortisol isn't a bad thing. Cortisol has a purpose, but chronic cortisol being pumped all day is a bad thing, right? And so we're stressed, right? It's,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
a stress hormone, but it also produces, when it's overdone, once again, leads to more residual fat because
Hmm.
it's now, it's producing an environment that our body responds to and saying, we are stressed. I don't know why. Whether it's fight or flight, I
Hmm.
need to conserve energy, and the best way I know to do that is
Dude, they're bad.
more fat, right?
Yep. Hmm.
Okay.
Interesting.
Now, finishing, going down to gastrointestinal. Could there be some unique issues going on in here? Yeah, probably. But we can't diagnose that quite yet until this gets
Hmm.
better.
Makes sense.
And then continuing on, mood. Your mood is directly tied to your gut. Your
Yeah.
gut actually communicates with the brain. It's a very close thing. So,
Hmm.
anger, anxiety, depression, I'm not clinically saying that you suffer from these things as a
Hmm.
psychologist, just saying it will affect your mood more
Yeah.
often than people give it credit for.
Yeah.
And then
Hmm.
lastly, prostate health, I would say, is kind of its outlier. It
Yeah.
is affected by, your thyroid and producing the correct hormones and whatnot. But right now, single digit low green, not a big deal. So
Cool.
that's good news. So putting this all together, you could be eating correctly, you could be exercising correctly, you could even be sleeping correctly, but
Hmm.
this can actually lead to a much faster plateau.
Yeah.
What that'll get you. And a common mistake that people do is like they'll hit this plateau and then they'll be like, I just got to try harder. And then it becomes this battle between the body and you, and your
Yeah.
body's just trying to keep you alive.
Yeah.
And your body, doesn't want to lose fat based on all of this. It's
Yeah.
basically saying,
Interesting.
Richard, like you're really, I'm going to win this battle. I promise you. Like you said, kind of being a big guy, a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it is often due to these systems just not functioning correctly. And this happens
Hmm.
over time. This can happen from when you're a kid to adulthood, the lifestyle we live, the food we eat, just living in America. There's a lot of where you get exposed to a lot of things, the military,
Yep.
the food that we're given there, it's government,
Yep.
healthcare. So it's not uncommon, but the good news is all this is correctable.
Okay.
And talk about is really the next step with this, Richard, would be if you decide to work with me as your coach, what we would do is I would immediately send you a take-home blood test and a saliva test. The
Okay.
take-home blood test would address the liver and gallbladder function and
Hmm.
glucose stuff.
Okay.
We would actually see what the data is showing. And the tests that we send have several markers beyond your average physical. So we
Hmm.
can look at the sub markers to really pin down where the dysfunction is, not just your A1C or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Then we would look at the saliva test, which is the best way to measure hormone function
Hmm.
because the saliva test, you'll actually spit in four tubes throughout the
Okay.
day, morning, lunch, afternoon, and before you go to bed, because there are different levels along the day that we should see rise and fall
Yeah.
of all those hormones. And so those are the most accurate. So that would be another take-home test. You send both in the mail, they go to the lab, 7 to 10 days, you get the results. Then we would book a call with the functional health doc and go over it, all three of us together, and come up with targeted nutrition and targeted supplements that would help correct this.
Hmm.
And we would retest 60 to 90 days later to see what effects and what, revision we need to do to the protocol to get this better, right?
Okay.
So it is a process. It's not going to
Yeah.
be fixed overnight. It is a months long process, but um, as I really believe in this because I've experienced a lot of growth and improvement with this.
Hmm.
I've noticed that I actually don't put on as much fat as easily as I used to once I,
Hmm.
and so that's why I'm a strong believer in it. Test everything on myself first before I bring it to any client. Um, but remember, if you remember from my display, this is just the bottom pyramid, right? This is
Yeah.
just the beginning. When it comes to the nutrition, the habits, the exercise with losing weight, that all is a huge factor in it too. This is just the beginning to make sure that your body is able and willing to support the weight loss in a healthy, effective way without hurting yourself.
Hmm.
So, Richard, the next step for you is like I'd invite you, if you'd like, to sit down and we can talk about the next half of the pyramid on what we would do maybe a little bit differently as needed to really help with this weight loss. Most of the clients I work with within 6 to 8 months lose 20 to 40 pounds in a sustainable, healthy way, not no
Nice.
crash. And everything I do is like I did today is teach you the why and how behind everything we do so that you can just take this and move on with your life.
Cool.
I'm a solutions-based coach, and the solution is you don't need a coach anymore when it comes to this.
Yeah. No, I like that. You hit right on my next question, which was like, hey, I tried to answer those questions as honestly as possible, but like how, the data through a lab, I like that ability to go and
Yep.
check that out. I was going to ask, shoot, I had it right onto my tongue. What's the role of alcohol in all of this?
Oh yeah.
Sometimes have not of course self-medicated, but
Yeah,
drink out with friends, stuff like that. What does alcohol do to
sure.
all these things?
Great. Yeah, great question. So alcohol is a neurotoxin. That's just the facts.
Hmm.
Now, there's a lot of quote bad things our body gets exposed to, and that's
Hmm.
okay. We're not delicate flowers, right?
Hmm.
Obviously liver,
Hmm.
liver is going to be the most affected from alcohol, but alcohol also promotes gut health issues.
Yeah.
Alcohol kills shit, right? Like we
Right.
pour
Yeah, exactly.
alcohol on wounds and whatnot. It's not a great environment for anything to grow. Alcohol affects cortisol production, testosterone production. To be honest, alcohol affects every layer of this, even from glucose regulation.
Hmm.
Alcohol is the first thing your body decides to process
Hmm.
because it's a neurotoxin and there
Yeah.
are calories associated with it. They're empty calories and they're far more likely to be converted to fat because they're super toxic. They're like, there's no
Hmm.
way I'm gonna make healthy glycogen with this.
Yeah.
Let's make fat with this.
Hmm.
That's a safer choice. To answer your question, alcohol affects all of this.
Hmm.
What it affects the most, I would say, is probably the liver, and then honestly, your gut health and hormones.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, does that mean you have to give up alcohol the rest of your life? No. What it does mean is when we fix this, it
Hmm.
becomes a much smaller hurdle for your body to overcome. Remember, health isn't about living in this perfect terrarium, human terrarium, where we get the perfect amount of sunlight, perfect amount of nutrition. That's not at all what we're striving for, but what we're
Hmm.
striving for is more resilience, right?
Yeah.
Our body
Hmm.
is more resilient. It's healthier. When you go out to drink, it's not going to punish you as hard. It's going to actually clear out the alcohol quicker,
Hmm.
much more residual effects.
Hmm.
Rather than now, you're probably getting punished more than what a healthy liver and a healthy system can handle.
Right.
So
Interesting.
we just want you to live optimally so you can go out and drink, right? So
Hmm.
you can go out and eat foods that aren't the most nutritious. But if your body's given a position to process it without being handicapped, it's a far more sustainable, happier life. So, is that something you want to do? Do you want to explore kind of the next steps with me?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I know you said this is kind of the baseline. As we get into the nutrition and fitness stuff, do
Yeah.
you work with are you going to have a separate app? I need one more app, like I need another hole in my head. But I have a pretty good just diet log. I assume that's going to be part of the plan is, hey, what do you even eat? I have a pretty good diet log, and
Cool.
I do like the CrossFit gym just for the community purpose as well. So I'm
Yeah,
not too interested in like specific programming
that's fine.
for actual training. How does that all fit in?
Yeah, so everything that we come up with together is not a cookie cutter program.
Hmm.
You're in charge of it, really. I'm just your guide. If we want to keep CrossFit, great. We'll make it work. If that's what makes you happy, if that's the type of physical activity that you enjoy and you feel is a good use of your time, then yeah, we'll keep it in. The apps I'll say is why is it not letting me copy? Yeah, I have an app. I'm an online trainer, but it
Hmm.
actually syncs into apps like MyFitnessPal, for
Oh,
example.
cool.
If you already
Nice.
have MyFitnessPal, great. We'll just use that. Um, and we'll get into the specifics of that. But remember, everything that I sit down and talk to you about, it's not a one size fits all thing. This is going to be your program. I have my way of coaching, but my way of coaching is very much feedback related. I want
Mhm.
to know what works for you, and I have some technology that allows me in to see your progress. But beyond that, we come up with the plan together. Does that make
Cool.
sense? We can
Yeah,
get
I
into
like
a little
that.
bit more when we have more time. So what I'm going to do is in the chat here,
Hmm.
I'll send just the booking link for the 45-minute call so you can
Great.
get on the schedule, and we'll just finish that discussion then.
Awesome. Sounds good. What's the $1 million question? What does like it look like cost wise? And I don't need an answer now, but if you have like
Yeah,
just, hey, this is my plans. Here's how I work things. Obviously, you're a good dude, but you're not doing this for free. What
of
does
course.
what does it look like for the next 6 months, a year, stuff like that? I would
Yeah,
just appreciate that.
of course. The short answer is the cost really depends on what we come up with.
Cool.
You mentioned that, hey, workouts I don't need. Okay. So it's probably going to be less than if I did the full gamut of things.
Hmm.
I want to kind of get down in the nitty gritty more about what we want to do, but it's going to be less than what it already is.
Hmm.
Couple $100 a month is usually
Cool.
kind of where we are, where it is, just for a
Okay.
ballpark. It just depends on how in depth we want to go, what you're comfortable with. And as always, I'm super flexible. If we find 3 months in or something you want to dump a part of the program, fine. We go up or down depending on what we need. The functional stuff for sure, we'll definitely be working on that.
Hmm.
Uh, but with the nutrition, with the habits, and with the actual exercise stuff, we'll just dial that in on the call and decide what makes the most sense. Okay? Is
Okay. Great.
that
Sounds
fair?
good. Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely. I have this link. I'm going to book something probably for Thursday. That's the day of my ATP. I don't know how all this stuff's going to shake out, but I would hope
Perfect.
later that afternoon I should have some free time. So I'll book that, and then if I need to change it, I'll shoot you a text or email.
Yeah. Can you do that now? Because I don't have a ton of slots open, and I want to make sure you get on there. It's
Yep, absolutely.
want to make sure it comes through. I think Thursday's looking good, so I want to make sure you get there.
Yep, should be coming through in a second. Sweet.
I got it, man.
Awesome.
Hey, good luck on the ATP.
Thanks so
If
much. Appreciate it.
reschedule or whether something happens in that booking link, there's a reschedule little icon.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Just click it, not a big deal. If you have any questions between now and then, shoot me a text on that text you're getting. It goes to the software. I check it
Okay.
daily
Great.
or email. And yeah, looking forward to
Awesome.
finishing the station. All right.
Great. Thanks so much, Scott. Appreciate it. And good luck with the power and hope everything comes back soon.
It did came back, so I'm gonna
Oh,
switch over.
perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good
All
to
right,
see you,
man.
man. Take care. Bye bye.